The amount spent by U.S. firms on private planes for the use of chairmen and chief executives for personal travel has reached its greatest level in 10 years last year, as many organizations eased the rules for their use due to the pandemic. According to ISS Corporate Solutions, a branch of investment advisor Institutional Shareholder Services, private jets use have increased 35% across S&P 500 groups in 2021, the highest level since 2012. Facebook's parent company Meta, aerospace company Lockheed Martin were among the largest spenders as several businesses relaxed policies on utilizing private planes because of concerns about the spread of COVID-19 on commercial flights. All right, for more on these, cross over to, well, actually, we're going to stay here in Lagos. So we're joined by investment analyst Ajibola Akamo. Ajibola, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much. What do you make of that default from Three Arrows Capital with respect to that $670 million loan for the crypto hedge fund?
Thank you for having me with us. First thing is, we all know where the problem began. Started with the whole Luna crisis, the Terra blockchain, its native token Luna, and its programmable stablecoin USD, and the collapse of that brought about a contingent risk for a lot of crypto hedge funds and trading companies like 3AC. In fact, 3AC's co-founder went on to say that it caught the company by surprise what happened with the Terra blockchain, and that shows that they actually lost money on that. And aside from that, we saw also, and especially from on-chain analytics on Twitter, saw a lot of facts pointing to the fact that 3AC has some long positions, heavy long positions on Bitcoin, and they are not able to meet those positions, and that's what caused the liquidation call to these companies. So liquidation call is basically when your broker calls you and be like, hey, this position you've held, we're about to hit your liquidation price. You can either add more money to push down the liquidation price, or they close down the position and take your money and basically empty your account. So that's what happened. So it brings the question of what a lot of crypto-focused hedge funds and trading firms are actually doing in terms of risk management in their company. What type of risk management structures do they have, and how are they trying to prevent these structures? And Voyager is also at risk from this default because they recently took a loan facility or a financing facility from Alameda Research. Alameda Research is Sam Bankman-Fried, that's the owner of FTX. It's a quantitative trading firm, and they took a loan facility from them of about $500 million, or a financing facility of about $500 million. And so far, they've drawn down about $75 million of that financing. So although Voyager is saying that their operations are going to continue as normal, but we're seeing a lot of cryptocurrency firms putting restrictions and limitations as to how much you can withdraw and deposit on their platform. So ultimately, it's not a good scenario for 3AC. It's also not a good scenario for Voyager in the long run. So we hope that these companies are able to meet up with their obligations and, sanity can return back to the market.
Well, speaking of not a good scenario for crypto enthusiasts, what about El Salvador? How do you think they're feeling right now of their decision to use it as their currency? That's Bitcoin, rather.
According to a Bloomberg report, El Salvador is basically down about $50 million on their Bitcoin investment. And to be honest, $50 million, looking at it from the hindsight of the country, is actually very, very minimal. And I think there's just a lot of FUD. So a lot of people are trying to spread FUD. And because there's been a lot of pushbacks against El Salvador in the long run, the World Bank saying that they shouldn't go ahead with this, and so many other agencies like that. So also saying El Salvador shouldn't go ahead with making Bitcoin leader tender. Ultimately, what I believe is Bitcoin as a leader tender isn't a bad idea. I do believe in Bitcoin and the power that Bitcoin provides and everything that Bitcoin stands for. But aside from that, of course, like I said earlier for 3AC, risk management structures need to be put in place. But being down on their investment is, again, unrealized loss. They haven't sold their Bitcoin, so those losses are not realized. And as the market hopefully continues to pick back up, as we've been seeing in recent time, the market fell as low as 17,000, but we're back up, I think, a little bit above 20,000. So hopefully, we see that more the funds are more or less returned back as the market is pushing up for El Salvador. But ultimately, I do not believe that it's a hands-on risk that El Salvador will default on their $1 billion payment, because $50 $50 million in the hindsight of $8 billion. That's literally a separate issue. And a lot of people are always trying to tie those issues together because, of course, everybody's trying to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt about cryptocurrency assets in general. So it's really all about, who is playing the better media at the end of the day. But ultimately, I do not think that El Salvador's Bitcoin investment is a problem. And I do not think that it would have a catastrophic effect on the economy as a whole.
All right. Real quick, Heathrow Airport being, I guess, which is the word forced, the UK, the Civil Aviation Authority is saying that they have to reduce prices for planes landing on their tarmacs. What do you make of that development?
Okay, so I think it's about £30, from £30 per passenger to about £26. That's like about a 13% drop. So it's, to me, not necessarily significant, but it's needed. These airports have been charging a lot to their customers for the longest time. And right now, airline tickets are very, very expensive, especially in recent times. If you're trying to book a flight to London, you're paying over 1,500, almost 2,000 in some cases, depending on the urgency of how soon you want to get on that flight. So a lot of these expenses are usually at the end of the day passed to the final consumer like you and I. So I think reducing it from a 13% haircut isn't too bad, and it's going to cut across the next 4 years to 2026. So personally, I don't think it's a bad deal. And I think that, in general, all aviation fees that are pushed down to the customer should actually be reviewed and be put downwards.
Excellent stuff. Ajibola Akamo, investment analyst, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insights on those headlines.